The Indiana Hoosiers and head coach Darren DeVries trying to secure a visit with top 10 player Jordan Smith.
You are Locked On Hoosiers, your daily podcast on the Indiana Hoosiers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, and it is the Locked On Hoosiers podcast. I'm your man, Jacob Goins. I appreciate you being here, making this your first listen or your first watch every single day. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day. Well, the SEC is still not happy with the college football playoff. You would think they would be upset or they would be happy, and the Big Ten would be happy, but we'll tell you why they're not and how maybe those conferences could get back to normal. Plus, Indiana and Kentucky, it's officially set for December 13th. We'll talk about that game, just how big it can be and what that series is going to look like over the next couple of years. But the Hoosiers are in the process and have it in the works to be getting a visit from top 10 player in the class of 2026, a 5-star shooting guard in Jordan Smith. He's a guy that we've talked a lot about in the past, someone who has received a scholarship offer from Indiana, who's been watched by Indiana, and now is trying to get a visit to Indiana. And he spoke with 24/7 Sports over the weekend and says that Indiana is one of the places that he wants to visit when he starts getting all of those cranked up. And look, he's literally ranked the 6th best player in the class of 2026. He's going to take quite a few visits, and we just have to be okay with that. We have to understand that at the forefront. If you are an Indiana fan or if you're just the Indiana coaching staff, like, he's going to visit a lot of places, okay? But it's because he's really, really good. Again, 5-star player, 6'2", 200 pounds in the class of 2026. Somebody who I think he's my favorite player in the class. Just going through some of the names and, all the ones that Indiana has offered. I mean, 7 or 8 of them now in the top 25, and watching some of these other players, I think Jordan Smith is my favorite player in the class. He just plays with such energy and effort and aggression. I love that about him. Again, 6'2", 200 pounds. He's from Virginia. He's got offers from everywhere: Duke and Louisville and Arkansas and Syracuse and Indiana. I mean, you name it, he's got it. And it's because he's going to be a superstar in college, and then I would expect to be a superstar in the NBA as well. And while there is no official visit set up yet, he says that Indiana is a place that he wants to go and visit. Okay, here's the quote that he told 2247. He says, quote, "I want to visit Arkansas, Duke, Indiana, Louisville, Syracuse, and Georgetown. Really, I want to try to get as many colleges as I can." And I don't blame him. For somebody like him who could play anywhere in the country, get a starting role immediately, and make some decent money while you still can, I don't blame him. I would go and visit as many places as I could too. And we don't know what the order of that's going to be. We don't know what the success rate of that is going to be with other places. We have no idea. And we also don't know when exactly this is going to be, because we don't know if these are going to be over the summer, early fall, throughout the season. We don't know. Like, we have no idea what this is going to look like. And I'm curious if this is going to fall into that category that we've talked about in the past, where this new trend of recruiting with football, basketball, and I'm sure other sports too, these kids are not wanting to deal with it as much during their actual high school season. Guys like Jordan Smith, of course, are playing in the EYBLs and things like that right now, but then they'll have their final high school season coming up starting in around November or so. And so many kids, especially football, basketball is where it's highlighted, where they're not wanting to deal with traveling and recruiting and phone calls and visits and all of that stuff once they're in season. They kind of want to have all of that handled, and I don't blame them. I think that's a smart way to go. We'll see if that's the route Jordan Smith wants to go down, but we don't have any dates on anything yet. He doesn't have any of those set up as of right now. What I'm telling you, though, is that he wants to come and check out Indiana. And I think he is just one of the most exciting players in the class because he pushes the basketball. He's aggressive with the basketball. He is someone who just slams it down with authority when he dunks it. I mean, he looks like an NBA player. And he's also working on his three-point shooting, which is actually pretty good, and it's there when you need it. And I've been watching some of his highlights in preparation of doing this episode, and even when we were talking about him before, and trying to come up with a good player comparison for what Jordan Smith is. And then it hit me. He looks like Russell Westbrook. He plays like Russell Westbrook. And I'm talking like Oklahoma City Russell Westbrook. For those basketball people out there, you know what I'm talking about. Because when he gets the basketball, you just know, okay, something good is going to happen. Is he over aggressive at times? Sure. And it probably leads to a turnover here and there. But more times than not, something exciting is going to happen when Jordan Smith has it in his hands. And he's listed as a shooting guard in his recruiting rankings and can play both spots. He can play the one or the two. I have no idea what Indiana would use him as when he got here. I think you have that luxury of playing him at either spot, but he is used to having it in his hands, whether it's just grabbing a rebound and pushing it up the floor, whether it's getting a high ball screen and running off of that, whether it is just catch and shoot, whatever the case may be. He's got it all. And he reminds me of Russell Westbrook just from a physicality standpoint, from a head down aggressive standpoint, from a dunking standpoint, yes. And kind of how he shoots the basketball too. He's kind of got that quick rise and fire release above his head. And look, it goes in more times than not. And so at 6'2", 200 pounds, he's going to be a very, very good player. He wants to come and visit Indiana. And my goodness, I don't have to tell you how big of a recruitment and how big of a commit this would be for Darren DeVries in Indiana basketball. This would be massive. It'd be one of the biggest recruiting wins in years here at Indiana, not just with Darren DeVries, because we're just getting started with him. I'm talking years that it's been since we've landed a kid like this. And am I saying it's going to happen? Don't know. I'm not ready to make that prediction just yet because he hasn't taken any visits. There's no trimming down. There's nothing yet. But Indiana's going to be there, and Indiana's going to be in the mix. And I like our chances. I like our odds. And if he comes and takes a visit to IU, we have a really good chance to land a top 10 player, ranked 6th in the class, Jordan Smith, the 5-star guard who plans on taking a visit to Indiana. A bunch of other schools involved as well, but the Hoosiers, we're going to be there. All right, coming up here on Locked On Hoosiers, we'll stay with basketball because it's now official. Indiana and Kentucky are going to play in Rupp Arena on December 13th. We'll talk about that game, plus the series as a whole and what it means for both programs. That's coming up next here on Locked On Hoosiers. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by Monarch Money. Do you ever check your bank account, especially right now at the end of the month, and wonder, man, where did all my money go between dining out and online shopping and entertainment? It's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, your investments, and your spending in one place. So you stop just managing your money and you start building your wealth. And look, the best thing about it, or one of the best things about it, you can take all of your accounts, all your investments, everything on multiple apps that you're using right now, just combine it into one. Just put it into Monarch Money to check your finances and your spending and even plan your long-term goals. And you can do it in one place with Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. Welcome back into Locked On Hoosiers. Appreciate you being here, making this your go-to spot for all things Indiana athletics as we are surging towards the end of May and almost at the beginning of June. And first, if you're looking for something to get you excited for the college basketball season a little bit more, I'm sure you all saw the other day that Indiana basketball tweeted out officially, or sent out or posted, whatever the heck you want to call it nowadays, the graphic for Indiana and Kentucky, the Hoosiers and the Cats on the hardwood, as that will officially now be played on December 13th inside of Rupp Arena. They got everything worked out, everything finalized, and the Hoosiers are going to head to Rupp in mid-December. Man, I am so excited for this game, this rivalry, this series to be back on the schedule. This is one where old school IU fans and old school UK fans have been watching these two teams go at it. And when they do, it's normally pretty awesome. It's normally exciting. There's always something that goes down. And it's been quite some time since we've seen these two teams play. We won't bring up when the last time was, but it has been something we won't bring it up because of Kentucky fans that may be watching, I mean, no, this is a series that is just, it's necessary. I feel like this is one where college basketball has to have it. I mean, I put it on the same level of, like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like some football comparisons, like Notre Dame, USC, I guess, right? We had an argument about that the other day on the Big Ten squad, and just some of these historical games between two teams where it just makes sense, right? It just makes sense. You're right there. You don't have to travel very far. We're going to talk about the series and the locations in just a second because Indiana got screwed, but that's okay. You also have two of the biggest brands, the biggest logos, and with the most history in college basketball. You're talking two top 10 programs all time. They should be playing. Plus, they're right there, and it's entertainment. It's awesome. And you can play these in non-conference play like these two teams are going to do, and you can get it done and out of the way before Big Ten play starts and before the SEC schedule gets started. These two teams should play all the time. Every single year, I don't know. That's up for debate, I think. But these types of series that we just got finalized, I think are very important. And remember, the fact that this game will be played on December 13th inside of Rupp Arena, and you will have 4 games in this series. You're going to play this upcoming season at Rupp. Next year in 2026, we're going to play that game at Lucas Oil Stadium, which is considered, air quotes for those of you on audio, a Indiana home game. Then in 2027, we're supposed to go back to Rupp Arena. And then in 2028, the Cats will come to Assembly Hall. I understand the reasoning behind playing one game at Lucas Oil. To get more fans, to have more opportunity. Kentucky fans travel like crazy. If you haven't noticed that or picked up on that in the past 25, 30 years, they travel better than anybody. Better than anybody. There's no argument on that. So they will find their way to Lucas Oil Stadium. You better believe that. They will find their way into Assembly Hall. Maybe not as much, but they'll be in there. You'll hear them. You'll see some blue in there. But the Hoosiers have to travel to Rupp. That's a big part of this too. You need to go to Rupp Arena. The Indiana Hoosiers faithful needs to find their way into Rupp Arena. It's big enough. You can get some seats in there, okay? And I think this is something that just needs to happen. I wish we were playing 2 games at Assembly Hall, but it is what it is. I understand why they did it. But at that point, why not play a neutral site for us? They're calling it a home game, but it's neutral site. And then play a neutral site for Kentucky somewhere. I'd be fine with that. I don't know where you would go, but figure it out, I guess. I don't know. But these two teams, they need this type of a game right now. They do. They absolutely need this game on the schedule because look at what Kentucky just did and look at what Indiana's trying to do. Kentucky just went to the Sweet 16 in year 1 under Mark Pope. They're trying to rebuild and restart after the Calipari disaster. We're trying to do the same thing. We just hired Darren DeVries and trying to rebuild after the Mike Woodson disaster. And IU fans may not like what I'm about to say, but I believe it to be true. We need to model what Mark Pope and Kentucky are doing. We need to copy what they're doing. To a T, 100%? No, but how could you argue with 1 year of success with Mark Pope and Kentucky? They exceeded every expectation, every single one of them. And now they continue to go after the biggest players. They're in all these recruitments. They're going to be battling with us for several big-time players. Don't you want that for Indiana? Would you take a Sweet 16 appearance in year 1 under Darren DeVries in 2025 and 2026? I would. I absolutely would. Take some big-time wins over some big-time teams. I don't care that Kentucky's defense was horrific. It was bad, but their offense was insane, and they made it to the Sweet 16. Indiana is looking for that type of similar success. And what I like about it is the fact that Mark Pope proved it can happen very quickly in college basketball. Are they going to be as good this year? I don't know. We'll find out. But he proved it can be done, which should give you hope, Indiana fans, that Darren DeVries can get it done at Indiana. And the fact that these two teams are now going to be playing each other as bitter rivals from way back in the day, you get to see two very young programs going at it, but two historical programs as well. When these two teams meet on December 13th in Rupp Arena, they're going to have a combined 1 year at their current schools. One. I'm not counting this season. You'll have, 1 year and 2 months, 1 season and 2 months combined at their current school. This is a new era. It's a perfect way to kick it off, to get things started, and hopefully it goes well. The support is good. The money that both teams make and the venues make and everything like that is what they're wanting. And you can make this a long-term thing. You've got a 4-year deal going right now, but man, make it longer. Sure, take a break in there if you need to, and then do it again. Do 4 years on, 1 year off, 4 years on. Or heck, there may be fans out there that say, screw that, do it every year. Just go back and forth. Go to Rupp 1 year, come to Assembly Hall the next year. Just go back and forth and make it a permanent game. I don't hate it, but I do think it needs to be on the schedule just for historical reasons, for entertainment reasons. I mean, we need more games like this in college basketball. We're losing it in college football. These types of games are going away in college football because teams are scared, and we're going to talk about the playoff in just a minute, but teams are scared to play big time out of conference games because of injury and money and things like that. And it's not worth it because you're going to get more credibility and more brownie points for winning games in conference than you will beating a team from out of your conference. We're losing this in football. I don't want to lose it in basketball. That's what makes this special, okay? That's what makes this so much fun is when you get to play the Kentuckys and the Louisvilles and Gonzagas and Dukes and North Carolinas of the world in November and December. Those early season tournaments, those non-conference tournaments, feast week around Thanksgiving, those all need to happen. Those don't need to go anywhere. That's what makes college basketball special, man. That's what makes it so exciting before you get to conference play. Then, end of December, early January, you crank it up and you got games every night from inside the conference. But non-conference games and non-conference tournaments like Indiana and Kentucky, they're good for the sports. They need to happen. So good for UK, good for IU for putting this back on the schedule. And I recommend if you can make it happen, do it. Go watch Kentucky basketball and Indiana basketball inside of Rupp Arena. Then it'll be in 2026. It'll be at Lucas Oil Stadium, back in Rupp in 2027, and then in Assembly Hall in 2028. That's the only downside here is we have to wait 3 years, right? 3 years going on 4 to see this matchup played in our place. But overall, really excited for this and what it's going to do for college basketball. All right, coming up here in our final segment on Locked On Hoosiers, the SEC still not happy, apparently, with the college football playoff. And why is that? Isn't it set up for the SEC and for the Big Ten? We'll talk about that next here on Locked On Hoosiers. All right, final segment here on Locked On Hoosiers. Thank you again so much for being here. Appreciate your support and hope everyone had a good Memorial Day weekend and a safe Memorial Day weekend, all that stuff. We had an episode go out for you yesterday, so if you missed it, go and check that out, talking about John Rothstein and how he is not giving Indiana the credit they deserve. We'll leave it at that. So if you missed that, go check that out. And for anybody listening on audio, thank you so much for doing that on your various podcasting platforms, Spotify, Amazon, Apple, whatever. Appreciate you doing that and being there. And so make sure that you are a subscriber there if possible. You're following us if possible, and that you have your notifications turned on in case you missed an episode like that yesterday. Be sure you check that out. And so do all of that. And then if you are watching on YouTube on the video side of things, make sure that you hit that thumbs up, like the video, tells us you like what's going going on around here. Also, leave your thoughts in the YouTube comments down below on Jordan Smith possibly visiting Indiana, IU and UK back on the hardwood this year, and some college football playoff stuff as well. So leave those things down in the YouTube comments. And then if you have not already, subscribe to the channel. All of that helps us out very, very much. So thank you for doing that. Well, an article came out on ESPN. What day was this? Was this today or was this yesterday? Looks like it was yesterday on Monday. And it says the title, Greg Sankey says SEC not settled on preferred college football playoff format. And the SEC is having their yearly meetings down on the beach and, putting their toes in the sand and whatever. And they're having conversations. And Greg Sankey opens it up and starts talking and says about the college football playoff. He says, quote, "We are not committed to any particular format," which means he's not happy with how it is right now. He says, "We'll see how the conversation manifests itself this week, and we'll look a little bit more deeply at different ideas, which will put me at some point in a better position to answer a lot of those questions." And my concern, and the reason I bring this up, is how could the SEC or the Big Ten, for that matter, to get it back to the Hoosiers here, how could these two biggest, two most major conferences not be happy with where the college football playoff is going? I understand with 2025, maybe because they don't get their guaranteed teams in, and they can't, use it like finger puppets and control how many teams get in. But you're telling me that ultimately the 16-team playoff where the SEC and the Big Ten both get 4 guaranteed teams in, and I think that's a stupid idea, but it is what it is. How could they not be pleased with that? I don't understand. And I think this article, it goes through, and I know where it's coming from. It talks about the SEC. It talks about the SEC and the Big Ten being worried about their conference scheduling and about how it's going to mess all of that up. And we're trying to add a 9th game to the schedule and blah, blah, blah. Like, okay, but you're the reason all of this started. You are the reason. And I'm looking at both conferences here. I'm looking at the SEC and the Big Ten. You are the reason college football playoff expansion has happened. You are the reason that all of this has started to change. But now you're going to cross your arms and kick your legs and throw a hissy fit because it's not exactly how you wanted it to go. How is it not? You're going to get 4 guaranteed teams in, even though that's not always going to be 4 of the best 16 teams in the country, but you're going to get them in there anyway. And you're going to get your money. You're going to get your TV deals. You're going to have all of that. I don't know, man. I'm not going to sit here and listen to the 2 biggest conferences who have the biggest say, who are literally going to manipulate the playoff for themselves. I'm not going to sit here and listen to them say, yeah, we're not satisfied. We're not locked in on anything. We're not settled on any particular format just yet. It's because they want to make sure they're getting their best. They want to make sure they're getting the most out of it. And I appreciate that in terms of what they're trying to do. But I don't know, man. There's so many questions that are unanswered. There's so much to be learned and figured out, and so much change is going to happen again. Like from year to year, clearly we're living in it right now. The playoff could look different every year until these 2 mega conferences, whether they combine themselves or keep adding teams or whatever, until they get it molded exactly like they want it to, it could change almost every year. And that's not good for college football. We were talking about rivalries being great for college basketball. Changes to the playoff every year are terrible for college football. And with that, heck, they're wanting to expand the NCAA tournament for basketball and things like that. I mean, this is not good for the sport. It turns people away. It turns fans away, and the casuals who don't understand it, who don't want to figure it out, who just want to sit down and watch football. This is not a good thing. And so I don't really care that the SEC and or the Big Ten are unsatisfied because it's not exactly how they want it just yet. They're going to get their way. Are we really concerned about that? Are we really worried about them not getting their way? they hold so much power and so much money and can make all the biggest decisions. It's going to happen the way they want it to. So you may as well just sit back and take it. And that's kind of talking to myself and talking to you. I mean, we pretty much just got to sit here and do what they say because it's going to happen for them eventually. I just think it's childish for guys like Greg Sankey to say, we're not settled, we're not satisfied on where the college football playoff is right now, but we will be. Once we get our way, we'll be okay. But right now, we're just we're upset, we're angry. I hate it. I do. I absolutely hate it. I won't stand for it. Not that I can do anything about it, but it's annoying. It's frustrating at the end of the day. So just remember, the SEC and the Big Ten are going to get what they want. Could it benefit Indiana? Hope so. Hope we keep getting big guarantees in there. I don't like the idea, but from the Indiana standpoint, yeah, I think it makes sense. That way we have a greater chance of making the college football playoff every year, which I think we're going to do under Kurt Signetti, or at least be in the conversation. I'm just saying, I think we're turning fans away from the game that we love. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers. Thank you so much again for being here and continuing to be a part of the show. Again, if you are not already subscribed to the YouTube channel or following us on your audio platform, make sure that you do that. Leave your thoughts in the YouTube comments, like the video, and send the audio version to a person that you've never sent it to before who doesn't listen to this show that needs to be doing it, okay? A parent, a teacher, a friend, a sibling, doesn't matter. If they like IU, if they like the Hoosiers, or if they love the Hoosiers, they need to be right here with Locked On Hoosiers, okay? We are back tomorrow for another episode. So until then, Hoosier fans, stay safe. I'll talk to you later.